Hello friends, welcome to Banker Zone. Here we'll be discussing the definition of the statistics, importance and limitation, data collection, classification and the tabulation. So see some introduction part. See, the word statistics has been derived from the Latin word statisticum, Italian word statistia and the German word statistic. Okay, so how statistic word basically derived? It is derived from different languages, from Latin word statisticum, Italian word statistia and the German word statistic. Okay, and each of that word means it is a group of the number or the figure that represent some information of the human interest. So what is statistics? Okay, basically that statistics is the word which is derived from the Latin word statisticum, we can say Italian word statistia or the German word statistic, and all of them meaning the same. Statistics is nothing but the group of the number or the group of the figures that represent some information for the human interest. Okay, now see here, it was first used by the professor called as the here Enwell. The professor name is Enwell. Okay, in 1749 to refer to subject matter as a whole. Okay, so who referred the first statistic? It was used by the professor Enwell. Okay, in 1749. Enwell defined the statistics as the political science of many countries. How Enwell defined the statistics? According to him, the statistics is simply the political science of the many country. Okay, see, the definition is according to the, you can see here 1749. So it is very much a year ago. So according to the Enwell, in 1749 he said statistics is nothing but the political science of the many countries. Okay, so you remember the name of scientist, economist, say Enwell. 1749 he coined basically term, I can say he used the first time term. Okay, now see, to refer here the subject matter as a whole. What do you mean by subject matter as a whole? See, when you are considering whole things, it is a part of the macroeconomics, and when you are considering individual entity or individual company, individual firm, it will be the matter of what? Microeconomics. Basically what we can say, when Enwell referring to the macroeconomics, right, Enwell defined the statistics as a political science of the many countries. Okay, now see here, in the early years statistics is to be used only by the kings to collect the fact about the state, revenue of the state, or even political purposes. Okay, so it is not only today the statistics is being used. Statistics is being used since long ago. Previously king were using it for simply collection of the, for to collect the information or the fact about the state, about revenue of the state, or even for the political purpose also. Now nowadays statistics is used in the like businesses, in the commerce, economics, then social sciences, politics, planning, medicine, and other sciences. So nowadays we can say everywhere, in almost every field, we need to use the statistics. Now see, statistical analysis of the data can be comprised of the 4 phases. Okay, so how to analyze the data in the statistics? They are having 4 phases. What are the phases of basically statistics? First phase is itself, it is the collection of the data. Okay, statistics is nothing but the group of data, group of number. So first step is collection of the data. Second, we have to classify and make the tabulation, means tabular form simply. Second step is classification and tabulation of the data. Third phase is we have to analyze that data, and fourth stage obviously we have to interpret some conclusion from that data. Okay, so there are 4 phases for a statistical analysis of the data: collection of the data, classification and tabulation, analysis of the data, and the interpretation of the data. Now you can see here, what do you mean by collection of data? This is the first stage of the investigation, or this is the first stage of the study. Numerical data is collected from the different sources. See, name itself, it is collection of the data. So data will be collected from different sources as a raw data. Okay, Very simple. Now classify, that classification and tabulation of the data means what? The raw data is divided into the different groups or the classes and represented into the table. Okay, so what is the group and classes that we'll be discussing? Okay, here for simplicity that will be classified, the raw data is classified into different groups or different classes and a table will be formed. Okay, in the second stage. In the next stage, analysis of the data. Obviously the classified and tabulated data is analyzed using the different formula and the methods. Okay, and in the last stage, final stage, the relevant conclusion is drawn after the data analysis. So very simple stages of the data analysis or stages of the statistical analysis: collection of the data, classification and tabulation, analysis of the data, and interpretation of the data. Okay, so that 4 stages you have to remember. Now see, what is the importance of the statistics? What is the importance of the statistics? See, statistics teaches how to deal with the data, basically, right? Then how to collect the data, how to represent the data, how to analyze and interpret data effectively so that we can get the result. Okay, that is the importance of the statistics. Now, what are the applications of the statistics? Obviously, applications of the statistics is important in the field of, say, medical, say, sport, weather and forecasting, then your stock market, quality testing, policy making, banks, educational and the research organizations, even business and economics, making the government decision and the government policy. So statistics is a very important part. Based on that analysis, we can conclude something and we can take the decisions. Okay, now see, we'll be discussing the importance of the statistics in different sectors. Okay, in the business and economics. See, in business, the decision maker takes suitable policy and the strategy based on the information on the production of a sale, profit, purchase and finance. See, if you are in a business, right? If you are in the business, you will have some data, right? What you have produced, in how much quantity you have produced, which area has maximum demand, right? And what is your salary expenses, what is your net profit. Based on that all statistics, you can take next decision, right? Whether you need to expand your company or like that. So basically what I have to say, statistics is the field where it is important in case of even businesses also. Okay, now see here, by using the Bayesian decision theory, the businessman can select the optimal decision to directly evaluate the payoff of each alternative course of action. Okay, what is the Bayesian decision theory? So Bayesian decision theory is nothing but simply calculating and updating the probability as a new information becomes available to make the best possible predictions. So basically it is also in simple word, based on the information, and along with that addition of a new information, you can take revise the decision, or you can take some decision which can be based on some probability, and that will be the best possible prediction, best possible decision. Okay, so it is simply the decision theory. You simply remember, it is simply the probability based decision theory, Bayesian decision theory. Now in economics, statistics is used to analyze the demand, cost, price and the quantity. Okay, so you are having some statistics. For example, demand for the, say, sweaters or woolen clothes is more during the December. Okay, this is the, you are having the month wise record, so you can easily say in every December we should increase the production of the woolen clothes. Okay, in simple word. So this is basically the statistics how we are using in the different fields, okay, in business and the economics. Now see, what is the importance of the statistics in the medical? See, statistics have extensive application in the clinical research and even in medical field. Clinical research involve investigation, proposed medical treatments, assessing the relative benefit of the competing therapy, establishing the treatment combinations. Okay, so in this way, in the medical field also statistics is important. Okay, why? To compare different therapy, to establish some conclusion based on the combination of different treatment. Okay, so in this medical it is used. Okay, now how statistics is important in the weather forecasting? See, statistical methods like the regression technique or the time series analysis, these are used for the weather forecasting. What is a regression technique? What is the time series analysis? That we will be discussing in the upcoming chapters in detail. Okay, so basically I have to say the importance of statistics in the weather and forecasting is also high. Now see, importance of the statistics in the stock market. How it is important in the stock market? See, statistical method like correlation and regression, time series analysis, these are used in the forecasting of the stock prices also. Okay, so return and risk analysis is used in the calculation of a market, personal portfolio, or even for the mutual funds. So what do you mean by here? See, correlation means basically relation between the two things, right? And regression means you have to predict the future output. Okay, so see, there will be some information available. Okay, today is the price of this, tomorrow is the price of this, and the day after tomorrow price of this. So based on the previous history information, they will draw some graph, and based on that they can predict the stock prices using the statistics. Okay, so we can say in stock market also statistics is useful. Now see, return and risk analysis means how much return you can get. Okay, what is the risk in the investment? Okay, based on the previous information, some decision can be concluded. Okay, we can some probability can be drawn. Okay, and this is nothing but the importance of the statistics in the stock market. Now what is the importance in the bank? See, in the banking industry, credit policy are decided based on the statistical analysis of the profitability, okay, demand deposit, time deposit, credit ratio, number of customers, and many other ratio. So what is a credit policy? Simply, credit policy means the loan you are giving to the customer. So what percent rate of interest you should charge? How you can decide? Okay, so you are taking from customer deposit at 8%. So loan you should give more than 8%, then only you can get the net interest margin, right? So a loan you are giving suppose 9%. So to analyze that, okay, this is not only one deposit, there are saving deposit, there are term deposit, there are recurring deposits, other investment. Okay, so that whole thing is supposed to be analyzed. Okay, that is nothing but the use of statistics is here in the banks. Okay, now credit policy are based on the application of the probability theory. Okay, credit policy of the bank are based on obviously probability theory. Now see, what is the importance in the sport? See, player uses statistics to identify or rectify their mistakes. A proper understanding of the statistics determine the success of the team or even for the single athlete. So in sports also statistics is being used. For example, say what is your if a cricketer, okay, so cricketer can use the speed of the ball. What is the speed of the ball? How much you should stroke? So you can in what angle you should make the stroke to the speedy ball, spinner ball. So there are different analysis. Okay, based on that analysis it can be good decision. Okay, and it can be a winner, it can win you in the games. Okay, so basically we have to note here in the sports also statistics is important. Okay, now see, functions of the statistics. What are the function of the statistics? Statistics represent the fact in definite form. Okay, second, statistics simplify complex data. It provides the technique of comparison. Statistics study the relationship between the two or more variable. It help in the formulating the policies, and it help in the forecasting the outcome. Okay, what do you mean by fact in definite form? So it only represent the facts. Okay, and obviously it in the definite form. Okay, it will not give any decision or a fact in indefinite form. Okay, it is for definite period or definite numbers. It is statistics simplify the complex data. Okay, you are classifying, you are making tabulation, right? So it will be simplification of a complex data. It provide technique of the comparison. So using table you will get the detailed tabular form in the statistics. for analysis purpose, right? So it provides technique of comparison. You can easily compare the data. It study the relationship between two or more variable, right, like a correlation. Now it help in the formulating the policy for the government and forecasting the outcome. For example, what will be the possible stock prices, what will be the possible best decision to take. Okay, so basically you can forecast the outcome based on the previous inputs or the probability. Okay, now these are the functions of the statistics. Now we will here discuss the limitations or demerit of the statistics. Statistics do not deal with the individual. Okay, statistical methods can't be applied for the individual value of the observation. There is no point of comparing anything or analyzing anything. Obviously, statistics is the study of mass data or say group of observations. Okay, so what we have to note here, statistics does not deal with the individual. Okay, statistics, obviously, how can you compare one person? To compare one, you should at least need one other person. Okay, so we can say statistics cannot deal with the individual simply. And statistics does not study the qualitative data. Means what? See, statistical method can't be applied for the qualitative or non-numerical data. Statistics is the study of only data in number or the quantity. See, statistics basically comparison of the number. You cannot compare the quality. Okay, for example, see here is a good, or here are different colors. For example, red color, yellow color, or green color. Can you compare that color? No. But if there are numbers like say 5, 10, 15, you can sort them by increasing order, decreasing order, even number, odd numbers, like that. But quality you cannot compare using the statistics, because these are not number, and statistics is the game of the number, right? So that's why statistics does not study the qualitative data. Next, statistics gives the result only on the average basis. Means what? See, statistical methods are not exact. As a part of the data means here sample is collected to draw the conclusion as a representative for a whole. As a result obtained are not exactly same if had analyzed the whole data. The result are truly only on the average basis. Means what? See how statistics work basically. See, suppose you have to find the average age of the Indian. So you will not go to every Indian and ask their age. Okay, you will collect some samples. Okay, you have collected some samples. Okay, you will collect some Maharashtra, some Kerala, some Tamil Nadu, and some other areas, say Puducherry. From here you have collected some samples. Okay, and based on that you have calculated the average age of the Indian. But whether it will reflect the actual average age? No, because you have compared it based on the only samples, so it may be a biased sample, right? So we can say we will that statistics does not give actual result because it is only based on the average. Now see, for further, average age of the student is 20 does not mean that everyone's age is 20. So whatever the data here you have calculated average age of Indian based on this sample, suppose it is say 40, it doesn't mean that every Indian is having 40 age. Okay, because it is based on the average. Okay, now see, the result can be biased. Fourth limitation or demerit. See, data collection may something maybe see, the data collection may sometime be biased, which will make the whole investigation useless. So if it see, average age of Indian you have to calculate, but you have, so what is expected? You should collect the sample from every state of the India, right? But you have collected sample mainly from say North India. Okay, you have not collected a lot of samples from South India, so that decision will be biased, and that will be the useless, right, if you are collecting biased samples. Okay, so we have discussed there are some demerits and limitations of the statistics. First, it does not deal with the individual. Second, it does not study the quality of the data. It does not give the result, or you can say it give only the result for the average basis, and the result can be biased. Okay, so these are the limitations of the statistics. Now we'll be entering to the core part of the syllabus. What do you mean by population? Here that population does not refer to the here demographic population. Okay, here population is entire collection of the observation from which we may collect the data. Okay, it is the entire group from which we need to draw the conclusion. Okay, for example, what is a population? We are studying the weight of men in India. The population is nothing but now weight of all men in India. Okay, what is a population? See, remember, population here refer to the all. Remember, population means all data. Okay, for example, suppose I have to find, suppose the again average age of Indian. Okay, what will be the population for it? All Indians weight, all Indians age will be my population. Population means all, not a sample. Remember the difference between population and sample. Population means all. Population means all data, entire group, entire collection of the observation. Okay, so what is a population? Population is nothing but the entire collection of the observation or the entire group. Okay, now suppose I have to find, suppose how many students are there. I have to find the students in India. Okay, so how can I find? I have to take note of all the students. Okay, all the students who are studying in India. So that will be my population. Okay, suppose here population, I will give again one example. Suppose I have to find the how many young people in India whose age is less than 30. Okay, so how can I calculate? For that I should consider all the people or all the person whose age is 30. I will not collect few, I have to consider all. When there is word all or entire, it is the population. Now see, in simple words, sample is a part of the group of the units of the population which is representative of actual population. Okay, you have to see now. Example, if we are studying the weight of the men, the sample may be collected based on the men in India. It may be selected based on the same date of birth. Now see, population. What is population? Entire group. Suppose we are studying the weight of men in India. Okay, so see, suppose the here this is India. Okay, this is the India, right? Now you see, I have to calculate the I have to find out the average weight of men in India. Okay, so all men's will be my population. All men's weight will be my population. And if I select 5 from Jammu Kashmir or 5 from each state, okay, as a sample, and average I have calculated, okay, that will be the sample for me. Okay, so again I repeat, here the important concept you should understand. Population means entire group or all data. Okay, and sample means only it is a part of the data, or a sample is the part of population. Okay, so remember, if this is the sample, this will be the population. Got it? If this is the population, this will be the sample. What I have to say, sample is a part of the population, and population means nothing but the all data. Okay, so remember, whatever the sample you choose, it should actually represent the population. Ideally it should be maximum, it should match with. Okay, it should not be biased basically. So sample should be in a proper way, right, so that it will represent the population. I think it is clear to you now. Now see, the data can be classified into two types based on their characteristics. Okay, for example, it may be a variates or it may be a attributes. Okay, so we will see here the classification of a data. What do you mean by variate? See, variate, characteristics that vary from one individual to another can be expressed in numerical terms called as the variate. See, variable. You oftenly use term variable. What do you mean by variable? Means it vary from one to other. It vary. Okay, in the same way you remember variate. Variate means it is a characteristic that vary from one to another. Okay, for example, price of a commodity, wages of the worker, height, weight and mass of a student, etc. Okay, so what is a variate? Variate is the characteristics that vary from one to another. For example, salary of one employee may be different from the other employee. Height of an employee is may be different for the height of other employee. Okay, or you can say weight of one student may be different for the other student. Marks obtained by students may be different. So basically the characteristics that vary from one to another is nothing but the variate. Okay, and remember variate is important characteristics that variate can be expressed in the numerical term. For example, see wages of the worker. One is having say 10,000 salary, another is having 15,000 salary. Okay, now see height, weight of the, and mass of the student. Height you can express in the number 5 feet, weight suppose 50 kg, marks suppose 60. So in this way these are the characteristics which vary from one to another, right? Apart from that, it can be expressed in the numerical form, so that is called as the variate. Now what do you mean by attribute? Okay, see here, attribute, a characteristics that vary from one to another but can't be expressed in the numerical form is called as the attribute. So variate can be expressed in the numerical form, but attribute cannot be expressed in the numerical form. For example, color of the ball, it may be black, blue, green, but we cannot say it is 1, 1, 2, 3 because it is color. It cannot be expressed in the numerical form. Religion of the human, okay, it may be Hindu religion, Christian religion or other religion, okay, but it cannot be expressed in terms of the numbers. So simply variate can be expressed in form of a number, and attribute cannot be expressed in the form of the number. Now see, quantitative or a numerical variable can further classified as the discrete or the continuous variable. Okay, so numerical variable can be further classified into the discrete or the continuous. Now simply, what is a discrete variable? See, a variate which take discrete or distinct value. In other word, it can only take the countable and usually a finite number. It is called as a discrete. See, discrete name itself, it is a countable. Okay, discrete means simply you remember countable, which you can count. Okay, discrete means countable, okay, or finite number. Now for example, see the number of a member in the family. I have 5 members in the family. Number of accidents happen in a year, suppose 20 accidents happen. Age in the year, my age is suppose 25 in the years. Okay, so these are the numbers which I can quote in the form of finite, which I can count easily. Okay, this is not infinite. My age, suppose I will not say my age is 5 million like that. Okay, so the number which are countable and finite, these are nothing but the discrete variable. Okay, now what is a continuous then? Continuous variate that take the value within a range. See, from name itself you can easily get it, right? Discrete means individual, which you can count and end it, right? Continuous means it is not in the individual form, it is some range is given. For example, range may be in the form of the integral or the fractional. This is the continuous variable. For example, see, percentage of marks. So obviously it is some having range. Either you will get 0% or the 100%. You will never get the marks 200%, right? So percentage of the marks it is always having some range, right? Height is also having range. It may be say for example 2 feet, so you can expect the 9 feet persons in the world. Weight, obviously you are having some weight, right? Say from 20 kg to 200 kg, but you cannot go beyond 200, right? So maximum range is there. Some certain, when there is a certain range, we have to count this as in the continuous variable. Okay, so you have to understand this. What is a discrete variable? Basically the variable which only a countable or usually a finite number, right? And a continuous variable is these are the variates which take the value within a certain range. So why it is variate here mentioned? Obviously variate is a thing, these are basically numbers, okay, and these are the characteristics vary from one to other, but that can be represented in the form of number, so I have taken here variate. Okay, so both discrete variable and the continuous variable, okay, both are having numbers. Okay, both are numbers, because that's why we count here variable. Okay, so very basic thing what we learn here. What is a variate? Variate is a number, okay, and which can be expressed which vary from one to another. What is attribute? Attribute is again the characteristics, but it is not a numerical. Okay, it is not a numerical. So in simple, variate is a number, attribute is not a number. Variate is having two types: discrete variable, continuous variable. Okay, discrete means you can quote it in the countable form. Continuous means it is generally expressed in terms of the range. Okay, so the two you have to remember. Now see parameter. What do you mean by parameter and what is the statistics? See, parameter. Parameter is the numerical value or the function of the observation of the entire population being studied. Okay, in simple word, parameter is usually unknown value. For example, population mean. Since parameter is unknown, it has to be calculated or estimated for the sample. Now you understand here what is a parameter, okay, and what is the statistics. Very simple. See what we learned in the previous slide. We learn what is the population. What is population? Population means all or the entire data. Okay, entire data is nothing but the population. Now if I say population means it is all the data. If I find anything about that population, it will be the parameter. Okay, it will be the see, generally you are using the terms like what is the parameter you have studied, what is the parameter that you are using. Parameter means basically the things you study about the population. For example, you have calculated the average. Okay, average here in statistics we call mean. Okay, mean. So mean you have calculated means average you have calculated of the given all data, so it will count, we will say it is a population mean. So population mean will be our parameter. For example, you have calculated the last three values. Okay, so last three value of all data. Okay, so that will be your parameter. Parameter is simply the term when you calculate or draw anything, it is always used for the population. Okay, for population, remember the term parameter you have to use. Suppose you have taken some sample from the population, and for that you have calculated something, that time you have to use the word statistics. For example, see here, suppose you are having the population. What is population? Population is 1 to 1000 numbers you are having. Okay, suppose you have calculated the average of it, so suppose it is x. Okay, so x mean will be your population parameter. Okay, now out of that 1 to 1000 numbers, you have only taken 1 to 10 numbers. Okay, and you have calculated the average here. Okay, so these are the sample you have taken 1 to 10 only, right? So you have calculated the average of that, so it will be the statistic mean. So what I have to say, what thing you calculate with the population are referred as the parameter. The things you calculate for the sample are referred as the statistics. Okay, now see, statistics is a quantity or the function of observation of the sample data. Okay, statistics is also called as the estimator. For example, sample mean. We can say statistics is used to estimate the parameter. Okay, whether we can say? Yes, you can say, because based on the sample we can conclude something about the population. Okay, so what is the parameter? In simple word, when you calculate anything, suppose you have calculated mean of all the data, so it is referred as the population mean, and it is nothing but the parameter. Okay, if you calculate anything about the sample, for example mean or average you have calculated for of the sample, it will be referred as the statistics. Okay, remember the things are associated with the population or all data is referred as the parameter. the things which are associated with the samples, referred as the statistics. P for parameter, S for statistics. Remember, P for population, P for parameter, S for sample, S for statistics. I think it is clear. Okay. Now see here, collection of the data. Okay, so basically data is having two types. It may be a primary data or it may be a secondary data. Very easy. Primary means first you are using, secondary means second time you are using. So very easy to note it. So what is a primary data? Primary data, it is a data which is collected directly or a first time by the from respondent. Okay, primary data is collected by using the different methods. Okay, so what is the primary data? So data collected first time. Okay, data collected first time means what? See, for example, suppose there is a census. Okay, there is a census, and in census the data is collected. Okay, how many members in the family, okay, how many males are there, how many employed, like that. Okay, the data is being collected by the government for the purpose of center. First time. Respondent means there are different people who go to the villages door to door and collect the data. Collection of the data is the responsible person called as the respondent, who collect the data basically. Okay, or see, the first time by the from respondents. Respondents means basically who responds. Okay, for example, who gives information, basically not the collection, who gives the information or who gives the data. Okay, primary, here come to the what is a primary data? The data which collected for the first time. Okay, for census the government people will go door to door and they will collect the data. Okay, so whatever data that people employee have collected from different population, okay, different peoples, that data collected by the government first time from door to door. Okay, that is nothing but the primary data. Okay, now there are different methods to collect that data. Okay, then what is secondary data? Secondary data means, suppose then the government will publish that data. Okay, that will give some figures. We are having that much of population living in the urban area, we are having male is out of that percent, like that. Okay, so that data will be published by the government. Okay, and if I have to study that data, I will use that data for doing some calculation or some study purpose. So second time I am using the same data which is already processed by the government, or first time is called as the secondary data. Basically primary data means collected first time, and secondary data means basically it is the second hand data. Now see, different reports published by say UNESCO or LIC or the government, these are I am using for my study purpose, so this will be secondary data for me. Okay, and this will be the primary data for these institutions if they have collected directly from it respondents. Okay, so it is easy. Now what is the method to collect the data? Okay, so primary data is basically collected using different methods. Very easy. Direct interview method means face to face contact is made with the informants or the respondents. What is the informants or the respondents? Means the person basically whom the information is to be obtained. Respondents means who is responding, informants means who is giving the data information to get the data. So here direct interview, you face to face contact. For example, the census, the interviewer asks some question pertaining to survey and collect the information. Now second, the way to collect data is questionnaire. Questionnaires are the survey instrument containing the short close-ended questions. It may be the close-ended means basically the multiple choice questions. That means you are only having 4 options. You cannot say fifth option, right? That is close-ended. Or the broad or the open-ended means no limitations. You can write descriptive option answers also. Close-ended means you have closed only 4 options. Choose only one, right? And broad-ended means open. You can write descriptive also. So writing essay is an open-ended question. Now questionnaire are used to collect the data from a large group of a subject on specific topic. For example, see, questionnaire means, see, Google form, you are filling the Google form. Okay, there will be some questions, you are selecting that questions, or there may be a space to write your feedback. So these are nothing but the form of the questionnaire. So how to collect a primary data from respondent, from informant, so from informants. So by the way of a direct interview, you can directly ask, or by the way of a questionnaire you can prepare. For example is Google form. Okay, now apart from that, see census versus a sample survey. So very easy. See census. In census, data about all the individual unit, for example peoples, is collected. Okay, and that is nothing but the population. All data is nothing but what? Population. Okay, now in survey, data are only collected on sub part of the population, but survey is not for all. Survey is taken for simple, okay, for sample basis. It is a sub part of the population, and this is nothing but the sample. Okay, so what you have to note here, census is nothing but the population. Census is nothing but the part of population, but whatever the survey you are doing, it is only the sample. Okay, what you have to understand here, census is the population, remember, and the survey are the sample. Okay, now secondary data. What is primary data? Right, we have learned. What is secondary data? Secondary data is nothing but the second hand information, the data which already been collected and processed by some agency or the person, and it is collected for a second time. It is termed as the secondary data. According to Blair, remember, according to the Blair, secondary data are those already in existence and which have been collected for some other purposes. So what is the secondary data? According to Blair, it is the data which already exists, which is already existing, which is collected for second time, but for some other purposes, not for same purpose. Remember, for some other purposes. Okay, so secondary data may be collected from existing record or different published or even unpublished sources. For example, data or report from the WHO, UNESCO, LIC, etc., or research or the educational organization, banks, or the financial institution, magazines, internet, etc. So data you are getting from them in the form of report will be the second hand data. Okay, so what is primary data? Primary means first time you have collected the data. Secondary data means second hand information, okay, which is either published or not published. You are using it second time for other purpose. It is the secondary data. Okay, now we will again see difference between primary and secondary data. So data collected for the first time is primary, and for data which is collected from some published or unpublished source is the secondary data. Primary data in the hands of one person can become secondary for others. Okay, now for example, population census report is the primary, but register of a general of India for the register of general of India, okay, because he is using first time, but the information in the census report is secondary for the others. Okay, very easy. Now why it is primary for him? Because he is using it first time or as a raw data. Primary data are original as they are collected first time from the respondent directly or by preparing the questionnaire. Okay, but second and primary data is more accurate than the secondary data, but the collection of a primary data is more costly, require more time and the energy than the secondary data. Okay, so this is a basic comparison between primary and secondary data. Now classification and tabulation. What do you mean by classification and tabulation? See, raw data does not give any clear picture. For interpreting and drawing any conclusion, it is very much difficult from the raw data, right? So to make the data understandable and the comparable, the next step is classification of the data. So you are having lot of data, okay, but how you can read it? There should be proper classification so that you can read it, you can conclude something, right? Now what is the classification? Classification means the method of arranging the data into groups or the classes by common characteristics is called as the classification. Simply classification, you classify the students, right, who score for example more than 70, then 60 to 50 and less than 40. So you classified the students based on their marks. So it is simply some characteristics which is marks you have used. So it is the classification. It is in the form of groups or the classes. Okay, now for example, see the process of sorting letters in the post office. Letters are classified according to their city, then further it will arranged according to the streets. Okay, so basically we have classified it. Okay, now what is a tabulation? Classified data is represented in the more organized way, so it will be easier to interpret and compare the data. Okay, that is nothing but the tabulation. So tabulation means first you have to classify, then you have to make the you have to make a tabulation. Tabulation doesn't mean you should prepare table. Okay, you may prepare the table, but tabulation is in simple word, it is the representation of the data in more organized form. Okay, so simply tabulation is more organized. See, obviously you prepare some table, it will be organized. Okay, so table word and tabulation are, you can say, in the same sense. So tabulation means arrange the data so that it will be more organized. Okay, so very easy. Classification means classify the data, tabulation means more organized in the way you have to arrange it. Okay, very easy. Now there are four important bases of the classification. How you should classify the data? There are four bases. First is the qualitative base, second is the quantitative base, third is the geographical base, and fourth is the chronological or the temporal base. Very easy. See, qualitative base means the data classifying according to the some quality or the attribute. Okay, what is the quality? For example, what is the gender, what is the religion, what is the literacy? So what is your religion? It is unique quality you are having, right? What is your literacy? You are literate or unliterate, unique quality. What is the sex, gender you are having, either male, female or other, right? So you are having some uniqueness about it. So based on some quality, it is data can be classified. Based on the quantity, so what is based on the quantity? Quantitative data means data is classified according to some quantitative characteristics. For example, height, you can say 5 feet, weight 50 kg, age 50 years, income 5 lakh, marks 80. So you are having some quantity. Okay, so quantity, in the form of quantity you can segregate the data. So classify based on the quantity is a quantitative base. Geographical base means data classify by the geographical region or the location. For example, I will say the data collected from Maharashtra, data collected from the Kerala, data collected from city, say Mumbai, Delhi or Kochi, data collected from different countries, say Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh. Okay, so basically if you consider the geography as a base, it is the geographical base of a data classification. Now chronological or the temporal base. What is the chronological or temporal? Data is classified or arranged by their time of the occurrence, such as years, months, weeks or the day. Okay, chronological means you have to understand the chronology here, right? Then temporal basis, so basically time is involved. When the time is involved or the history is involved, history refer to the period, history refer to here period. When the time is involved, history is involved, you have to take the base, it is the chronological or the temporal. For example, very easy. See, years, you have expressed the years, months, weeks, days, these are representing some period, some historical period or some chronology. Okay, some that is called as the temporal basis. Okay, remember, temporal basis. Sometimes it is also called as the historical period. Okay, so for example, sales of the company in different years is given. So when there is years given, so you have to understand what is the base of classification, year. So it is the temporal basis classification. Okay, so you have to understand the four bases of base of a classification. Okay, now what are the types of the classification? Okay, one-way classification, two-way classification and the multi-way classification. One-way classification means data classified based on the single characteristics. Two-way classification means data classified based on the two characteristics. And obviously multi-way means data is classified based on the two or more characteristics. Through example we'll understand. One way means single characteristics. For example, population is divided or classified based on some religion. So obviously you may have only one religion, single characteristics you are having, right? So either Hindu, Muslim, Christians, so only one you can have. So single characteristics, based on single characteristics you have classified the data. Now two-way classification means two characteristics you are using. For example, population is divided into the according to the religion as well as the gender. Okay, so you may be Hindu, Muslim, Christian or other, you may be the male, female or other. So based on two characteristics, when data is divided, it is classified two-way classification. Multi-way means more than two. For example, you are taking the parameter or characteristics like your region, gender and the literacy. That means 2 plus characteristics you are using at that time. It is called as the multi-way classification. Okay, so very easy, right? One-way classification, two-way classification, multi-way classification. Okay, very easy. Now we'll be discussing the frequency distribution. What do you mean by frequency? See, you often say, you frequently disturbing me. Frequently disturbing means repeatedly disturbing me, right? Frequency means a number of occurrence of the value is termed as the frequency. Very easy, right? Frequency means number of times the occurrence of the value. Now, what is the frequency distribution then? Frequency distribution is simply representing the data in the form of a table consisting the value of the variable with the corresponding frequency is called as the frequency distribution. Okay, for example, see, suppose there is I, there is you, and there is my friend, and there is your friend. Okay, I study for 3 hours, and your friend study for 4 hours. He study for 5 years. He study for 3 hours. So Monday, Sunday, Tuesday. Okay, so 3 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours. So basically we have to find how many times we repeat the same number of hours study. Okay, so that will be the frequency. So through example you will get, see, frequency distribution means what? Suppose see 1 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 3. Okay, this is the data given. Okay, 3 3. So how many times 1 occurred here? 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, 5 times. How many times 2 occurred? 1 2 3. So 3 times. How here how many times again 3 occurred? 2 times. So 3 occurred 2 times. So this is the data, okay, or variable, and this is the occurrence, and this occurrence is nothing but the frequency. Got it? So if you represent like that, this is your x variable and this is the frequency. If you represent it in this form, it will be the frequency distribution simply. Okay, very easy. Frequency distribution means simply representing the data in the form of a table consisting of the value of the variable and corresponding frequency. Okay, for example, this is the variable and it is the frequency. Okay, so variable 1 2 3 4 and frequency say 2 3 1 2. Okay, like that. Okay, this is your variable and this is the frequency, and the table is nothing but the frequency distribution. Very easy. Now you see here, in a frequency distribution is table used for the organizing of the data. Okay, now left column called as the classes or the groups, it include the numerical interval. The right column in the frequency distribution contain the list of the frequency called as the number of occurrence of each group. That is basically the frequency. So whatever left column is called as the numerical interval. For example, if I take the interval like 1 to 10, then 10 to 20, then 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and corresponding frequency say 1 2 5 7. So this right column is called as the list of frequency is the frequency, and the left column is the interval, numerical interval. Okay, so very easy. When you learn the numerical part, you will get it better. Okay, simply no need to remember. When you solve the numerical, you will automatically observe it. Now here the Croston and the Cordon define the frequency distribution as a statistical table which show the set of all distinct value of the variable arranged in the order of magnitude, either individually or in the groups with their corresponding frequency side by side. So basically the same definition which we have drawn recently table. Okay, so name only you can remember CC, Croston and Cowden. The intervals are normally equal size, covering the sample observation range. Okay, so I have already told you, suppose this is the intervals. Okay, there are intervals and there are frequency. For example, 0 to 10, then 10 to 20, 20 to 30. So these are the intervals generally having same duration or same size, right? And corresponding frequency may vary. Okay, so this is the left side, this is the right side. Right side is for the frequency and left side is for the interval. Okay, left column group or the classes and the right column for the frequency occurrence. Okay, very easy. So in this way we have discussed up to the frequency distribution. So you can subscribe our YouTube channel Banker Zone. You can download the Android application. The name of the Android app is Bankers Zone CAIIB. You can directly search in the Play Store Bankers Zone CAIIB, or you have to download the app. You can download the application. Link is given in the description, where you will get the full course for the CAIIB. Apart from that, you can join our Telegram group. There is a free Telegram group for the notes and the discussion. The name of the group is CAIIB Banker Zone. For that, you can directly search in the Telegram CAIIB Banker Zone, or you have to search in short way. You can directly search @CAIIB BZ. You can have a WhatsApp number here displayed on the screen for any help. Happy learning, friends.